Welcome to tecversity. This is Venkatesh Nataraj. I'm going to talk a simple tool called Remote Desktop Manager. It is simple yet powerful. You can access all your servers and computers from a single screen. If you are working in a server environment or you are working into an infrastructure role, this app will enable you to connect to different computers from a single screen. I'm going to show in this video how to download, from where to download, how to configure, and how to use this. With no delay, let's get into the details. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to tecversity, please do subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. Let's jump into RDCMan. I'll show from where to download the Remote Desktop Connection Manager. So open the browser. In the search bar, type remote, or you can just type RDCMan and hit enter. It will take you to a search page where you will see the first link itself is Remote Desktop Connection Manager sys internals. It's very important to see the sys internals. Now, even if you are trying on a different browser, definitely the first link mostly from the Microsoft. So this is a Microsoft website. So click on that. And once you log in, you will see so many options here. So much of data. So you just need to scroll a little down, and here you see the download Remote Desktop Connection Manager option. And it is pretty small size. It's 530 kilobytes. So the moment you click on it, it will download a file on your downloads folder with the zip format. You just double click it and open it, and you have EULA, which is end users license agreement. If you want to go through it, you can, or it's not required. And then you see the rdcman.exe, that is an executable file. So drag it or copy it wherever you want. So I will put it here in the downloads folder, and I have it here. Okay, I double click on this and it will start opening up. So on this screen, we have multiple options like file, edit, session, view, remote desktops, tools, and so there are few options we have. So we'll see what exactly this is capable of. So like I mentioned in the intro, this is primarily used by most of the system admins and the infrastructure engineers to categorize all their remote desktops in one place, and from single interface or a single console, they can switch to other servers that they want to connect with. So how to do that, I'll show now. So for example, the first thing is go to file, click on new. It will ask you to create a group. So you can see it is asking to create a group. So give the file name. So I'll select the downloads folder here, and the name would be, I'll just give tecversity. Now I'm giving a name tecversity, and the moment hit save, it will create a group called tecversity. So you cannot add a server directly, or you cannot add a client directly to this application. You should have a group, and the server or a client should be linked to that group. I'll tell you why there is a group required, because the credentials and everything can be stored at a group level, and with a single click you can access everything. So that is the purpose. We have to use only the group option to link the servers. Now I have created this. So here now I have the other options. Now the moment I right click on it, I see add server, add group, add smart group, save tecversity RDG. RDG is nothing but this remote desktop group, close, and properties. Now if you click on the properties, the moment you click on the properties, you have so many options here. And these properties, what you are saving here, it will be stored at a group level. Now it is like any number of servers that you add under this group, all that servers will have inherited attributes coming from this group. That means like a folder, how we enable some changes at the folder level, that attributes will apply for the options that under the files under that folder. Similarly for this group, it is kind of a folder where whatever the changes that you are applying for this group, it will be applicable for all the servers or clients linked to it. So you see the file settings here, logon credentials. So here it says inherit from parent. Since there is no parent here, so you just remove that, because the parent here, it will take the parent as the local machine that you're driving. So I would recommend you to remove this option. That is the best thing, and give the details. So I'll show what all the details that we need to give here. So the first thing is the profile name. The profile name is about whatever the name that you want to give. For example, if you want to change the name of the profile here, in the sense, if you are using a multi-tenant or multi-domain credentials in your environment, if you want to save a certain credentials with a different name, because the credentials will be stored here and it will be directly accessible when you are trying to access the remote connection. I'll show in a bit how this connection establishes, but in general I'm telling you how, that's what the profile name is all about. So I will give the administrator name. So for now I'm giving the administrator, that's the name, and there is no domain. I have not created any domain. If you have a domain name, in that case you just need to give the domain details here. So in my case it will be work tecversity. I have not created it, but that's going to be in the future. So now I'll just leave this blank and give the password. The password is India at 123 by default. Now I'm saving it. Now it is asking me to select the profile name. So once I'm giving the profile name, that is the name it will be stored. So I'm just giving local admin to remember myself that okay, this is for the local admin credentials and this is for this particular domain credentials, or this is for this exchange server. So whatever the name that you save, however you want, you can save it accordingly. Now I'll click on OK. The moment I click on OK, it will go off. So for now I will leave it is, and there is a gateway settings where in case if you are using servers from a different VLAN or from a different network, in that case you have to give the gateway settings to access that remote connection, to enable that remote connection from here, from your machine to that machine. So I would leave that as it is. You don't need to do anything for this moment, and then go for the connection settings. This is also the same, almost the same, like what is the listening port for this particular connection. We all know that remote desktop uses the UDP as the protocol and 3389 as the listening port. So since UDP it doesn't give a three-way shake-hand, so there are chances that some of the packets will lose, because it is just only the screen sharing. We will, even though the connection lost, the actual server will be running at somewhere, and there is no way that you will lose the data, because the data will be whatever running on that screen you will see from your local machine. So technically even there is a remote connection lost, that whatever the work you're doing, it is not going to go off anywhere, because it is just a connection. You are seeing only the screen through the remote desktop enable option. And then there's something called remote desktop settings. So I will talk about this while I connect to the server, because if I speak enough it will not make much sense, because there are several options here. It talks about the color depth, it talks about the size. So we have to understand what exactly these options and what is the recommended options. I will definitely say select the same as client area. That is the best option to select, because it has multiple options, and what is the color depth you want to see depends on the latency and depends on the network bandwidth. You have to select all these options. So there are multiple options here, and there are encryption settings, remote desktop settings, and display settings. So we will go through each one along with the process. Now I have already created multiple Hyper-V servers to show in this video. So I have 4 servers currently running, which has 3 servers and 1 client operating system, and I have noted down the names of those servers as well. So one of the server name is tecversity lab-server, that is the name. So we'll try to connect to this server using the remote desktop. Now I'll show these are running on my local host machine on Hyper-V platform. I have created 4 virtual machines, and I will connect. I can right click and click on connect. It will take me directly to that particular virtual machine, but that's not what I want, because there is option. We will have so many in a day. For a network administrator or a system administrator or an infrastructure engineer, will have to connect to several remote connections. So it is not easy for them to switch between one window to another window. If they keep opening, there will be hell lot of things on their screen. So that's the reason this is the recommended app to make sure we have one simple interface where we can access all the servers from one window. Now I've created the tecversity group. Now I'm creating an add server, and here I'll give the server name. So there is a slight we have to understand some things here. When we give the server name, and there is something called display name. Now you can change the display name whatever you want, and the server name should be the domain name which is in that particular server. Now you may say I'm using only the client machine, it is not connected to any domain, and in that case just give the name, exact name how it is. It doesn't matter whether it's a caps or small, but you have to give the exact name. If there is a dot, just make sure you give the dot. If it is a hyphen, give the dot hyphen, and no spaces or no extra words. Now the reason why we have two things here is server name is actually the name that is used in accessing to the server. It will, the moment you give the name and hit or add, it will try to see whether that server is available in the network. It will try to translate the name of that server and check what is the IP address. In case if you don't know the name, or there is no DNS server and other things, give the IP address of that machine here and under the server name, like this, like 10.10.10, whatever the IP address it is. And for your reference, you can give the particular display name. So I can give this as a admin console or server 1, whatever name you want. So it is recommended to give the same name whatever it is, but for your convenience, if you think you can remember that with the different names, you can give that. And make sure you select the parent. Here the parent will be the tecversity because it is created on top of tecversity group. And now you have something called logon credentials. Here logon credentials, we have already created local admin file. Now if you have multiple credentials you have stored on this machine, you can see all those under the drop down. For now I'm just giving the local admin and I'm clicking on add. The moment I click on add, it has created one server under the tecversity group. Now if I double click on this, it is first time since I'm trying to connect for this server for the first time. It is asking me whether are you okay to view the certificate and would like to check all the details. So I'm just going as this enabling this check marks. Don't ask me again for connections to this computer, and I click on yes. The moment I click on yes, it's connected to that particular remote machine. Now if you see this remote machine, if you go to properties and see here under the about, you see the name is tecversity lab server, and what is the RAM I have given 3 GB, and you can access everything from this window. Now I want to talk about the display settings, because you see there are some of the screen details that we are not able to see. We have this vertical and horizontal scroll bars, which is not very easy to access every detail in one window. So that is the reason I was mentioning about this display settings. So for display settings, what you need to do is, it's recommended to go with the same as the client area. So I'll tell you what exactly it is. Now I have right clicked on the server, or you can do right click on the group, whatever you want, because it's the same. Now click on properties and go to display. Right click on the server and click on properties. And the moment you click on properties, it will take you to a page where you can see the remote desktop settings. So you have to click on the remote desktop settings on that particular tab, and here you have to uncheck the inherit from parent. Now the moment you click on this, it will give you other options where it will ask you to select the color depth. If you really want to access different, since we are connecting to servers and primarily our work is to access the server data, either it's a domain controller console or a DHCP console or some other specific area that is working. So I would recommend you to select 16-bit. If you really want, you can go for 32-bit, but the bandwidth will increase because you will see the true color. If you go for 32-bit, it will show exactly how the remote server that you are accessing, or if you connect directly to that, to a monitor and see it how exactly it looks the same. It consumes a lot of bandwidth, so I would recommend you to select 13-bit or 64-bit, so that it will reduce on the visualization. You will see slightly better, but the performance will give a better performance. There will be no lag in terms of the screening. Now here, the desktop size, it's very important to select the same as client area. The client area in this scenario, it means the space from this window, whatever you are seeing right after this space, this entire blank space, it's actually the client area. So I would select the client area and click OK and reconnect it. The moment you try to reconnect it, what will happen is it will try to reconnect to the server, and it will fit into this space. See, now there are no horizontal or vertical scrollers. Everything about that particular virtual machine, it is visible in this small space. Now if you want to increase or decrease, there will be a slight difference, and then you just need to right click again and click on reconnect server, and it will fit into that space, that available space. So that's very good option, because even if you are using a 4K monitor on the other end, it doesn't matter, because ultimately it will try to fit into the space that you are saying what is your space that matches. So you can also select, go to properties and click on remote desktop settings, and you can also select your own choice of resolution, but the recommended would be same as client area. That is the best way. It will use the right space on your screen, and it will show according to it. And now I'll show the other options. So right click properties, go to local resources. Here, if the local resource, in the sense, now you just remove uncheck this inherit from parent, and you have these options. Now you have some audio files or some video files which you are playing from the remote desktop. Whether you want the sound to be played on your local machine which you are running, you are connected to whichever the host or the machine that you want the sound to be played on your machine that you're connected currently, or you want that to be played in a remote place. Like now you may be connected to a remote desktop which is in somewhere either in the same office or somewhere in the other side. Now you want the sound to be played and that hardware, then select that leave at remote computer. Or if you don't want anything to be played, select do not play. Or you want that sound to be played on your local machine so that you can witness whether it's working or not. In that case, select the bring to this computer. And you have other options like clipboard, printers, smart cards, ports, drivers, PNP devices. So I don't think I need to explain all this because pretty much straightforward. So pretty much this is how you connect to your server. And I'll show how to use multi-servers now. So I'm giving the other server details here, and I'll show how to connect to other servers. So I'm giving TC3, TC server 2. So I'm selecting TC server 2. This is another server, and I double click on it, and it is taking me directly. It's the same, again the same problem. You see there is a vertical and horizontal scroll bar here. So to avoid this, keep these settings at a group level. So now what happens when you save these settings at a group level, the settings will be inherited to all of the objects under that. That means all the attributes will be carried to the options that below that group. Now I'll go to properties at the group level. So I can see the tecversity file properties, and here I'll go for the remote desktop settings. I'll remove this inherit parent option. I'll select 16-bit or 24-bit and same as client area, and click on OK. Now I have saved it, and I clicked on save. Now I will try to click on reconnect group. Now the moment you click on reconnect group, what exactly happens is all the servers listed under that group, whether it's a server or a client, if it is listed under this group, it will try to connect to that server immediately. So I'll show how it happens. So now if I click on that, it will see all the servers are getting reconnected under the group. So it is again one of the good option, because in case if you're logging for the first time in the day, you don't need to select manually and double click on it. You can straight away select the group and right click and say connect to the group, and it will connect. It will try to establish the connection straight away to that server and authenticates with the username that you provided in the file, and it will establish the connection. So that is how you connect to the remote connections. So I'll try to add few more servers so that you will understand how easy this application to switch between the servers. So I'm adding one more, server 1. Now I have just added the server 1 for the first time, but there are no vertical or horizontal display settings because we have enabled that option at the group level. Now it is inherited from the group. So this is how we have to use it. Now I have created one last server. I'll try to connect to that as well. TC3 and click on add. So this is the Windows 10 machine. So since it is at Windows 10, it is asking me to give the password. The password is I don't think the username is different, so I have given the username as TV admin, which is tecversity admin, and the password is the same, India at 123 I capital. Now since it has a different credentials, that's the reason it couldn't authenticate. And because if I show you here in this particular Windows 10 machine, I have created a separate user. It is not the administrator, because administrator account by default created, but it is disabled. There is no administrator account. It is there, but it is disabled, and there is no password for it. That's the reason it couldn't authenticate. Now if I right click and if I try to click on reconnect again, the TC3 won't connect, and it will again ask for the credentials. So you can see the other machines are connecting, but the TC3 is not connecting because it doesn't have the credentials saved. So I'll give TV admin and India at 123. Hope this information is useful. How to use the remote desktop connection, I guess you got it now. So you can create multiple groups, like how I created a new group. You can also create a new group, and you can add n number of servers to each group, and you can have separate credentials for each group, and you can access them at a time, and you can customize each group with different settings. This is how this app is. I hope this app is very useful for your day-to-day activities. Primarily if you are a newbie and you are trying to learn new things on the server, this is a very good app where you can switch to each console easily from one screen to another screen with an ease. You don't need to, like I mentioned, you don't need to even give the names. You can just give the IP address and you can try accessing the server. It is one of the best app that I have come across in the recent times. So hopefully this is going to help you in your day-to-day activities. Yeah, pretty much this is it about remote desktop connection manager. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please leave a like and a comment in the comment section, and please share this video with your friends and family, and please don't forget to click on the notification bell icon for the notifications, and please subscribe to tecversity. Have a good day.